So this guy writes this post. He says, you shouldn't ask people out at work. So what do you do instead? I would say that's kind of a false belief. You're probably telling yourself that, but I mean, look at situations. I mean, so many people meet their partners at work, and like one of the biggest factors in who you choose as your partner is someone that's in your proximity. And where do you find that? Well, oftentimes at work. And so, yeah, I wouldn't say that you ask a woman out. If you don't know what you're doing, it can cause you a lot of problems because oftentimes guys who don't know what they're doing, they'll ask somebody out and then over pursue and then make it into this big deal and then make it uncomfortable and then ruin the relationship and then make it a weird dynamic at work. It's like you can't approach asking women out like that. And so how you have to do it is not be attached to the result. So if she says no, it's like, oh, that's totally fine. Just keep doing what you're doing, and you're not really bothered with it. So it's like coming from a place of you can date her or you could not, but either way, I'm going to be fine. I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. And I see myself as valuable, not like, oh, I have to have this woman. And it's like, that's my whole life. And, making it a way bigger deal than it is. And guys often do that, and when she is your only focus and you basically just drop your whole mission, it's just going to repulse her. As far as this belief you've got, you shouldn't ask people out at work. Yeah, I'd say it relates to that. Just don't be attached to a result. Don't make it weird. Don't make asking a woman out a bigger deal than it is, because it's really not. It's just like two people getting together, having some dinner together. But how you want to do it in a work situation, maybe make it a little more casual. So maybe on a Friday, say, hey, what are you doing this weekend? She says, oh, nothing. Well, I know this place, this restaurant down the street, I'd love to check it out if you'd like to join me. She says, yeah, sure. Boom. Set a definite date. All right, great. See you there Saturday, 6 o'clock. If you get there first, get us a table. If I get there first, I'll get us a table. Otherwise, let's see you there. Does that work for you? She says, yep, great. See you there. Boom, done. So this isn't about any particular person, but I have zero dating experience, and sometimes the logistics of it seem unattainable. Making a bigger deal than it is, it's really not. It's like, again, it's just two people having dinner, spending some time together. People who don't have experience often basically intellectualize the whole process, make it into something unattainable, just like what this guy's saying. I know asking people out at their job is kind of a dick move, because it puts that person in an awkward, maybe even unsafe situation. No, if you make it that way, then yeah, if you approach it like, oh, I have to have this woman, and it's making a bigger deal than it is, then yeah, you might experience that. Or if you come from a belief that that's what's going to happen, yeah, you're probably going to experience that, and it's probably going to really backfire on you. So I would say, get some more experience with dating women. And then once you get experience, and then once your knowledge base grows, then you'll realize that it's not the biggest deal just to go on a date with somebody. He says, I get that. So he's interpreting that as truth, that it creates an awkward, unsafe, it's a dick move. He says, I get that. So he's seeing that as his own truths. But, I don't agree with him on that. I don't think that is a truth. I don't think it's a truth in his own mind. But, it's really because he's making it that way, not because that's what the reality of the situation is, if he acts in a way that doesn't really communicate this kind of awkward or weird feelings that he's thinking. But I was thinking, what do you do then? If you want to get to know somebody, even platonically, nah, dude, don't see. Now you're trying to, okay, yeah, your results are going to be in this weird, awkward, uncomfortable situation because you're going this route. Now you're thinking that you have to basically be her friend first, and now you're going to chase her. That's going to make her feel uncomfortable. It's like, if you just get to the point, be direct, decisive, get to the date in a few steps, it's like, that's not going to be weird. If you make it this long, drawn out process, thinking you have to get to know her and text every day and text her good morning and please her in every way you can possible, because if that happens, then she'll just reciprocate her emotions and everything will be perfect in her life. It's like, if you do that way, like what you're doing right now, that's when you're going to get that result you're talking about of being awkward, making it a horrible situation. If you want to get to know somebody, yeah, okay, even platonically, but you only know them from their job, how do you go about that without putting them in an awkward situation at work? Just like what I was talking about, that example I talked about with casually asking her out, getting to the outcome you want and not being attached to the result if she says yes or no. What am I supposed to wait outside? And no. Yeah, just ask her out when the situation's right, when it's easy, when she's like in your proximity. It's like you don't make it a bigger deal than it is. You don't put a bunch of effort into this whole thing, and just she's going to feel that. And that's going to make her feel uncomfortable if you make it, into this big deal. Am I supposed to wait outside until they get off to talk to them? To me, that's way creepier than asking them out at work. Yeah? So don't do it. I don't know, sometimes the logistics of just meeting new people seems ridiculously impossible. I mean, yeah, you're in your head, dude. So it's like the reality is it's actually not. It's just like we can create all these fears inside our heads, and it just really stacks if we don't do anything about it, or we never take the jump to get into a relationship or getting to a date or asking a woman out. So it's like the more we just like resist things, it's like, oh, we just create more limits to what we can do, and more fearful outcomes in our head that could happen. Oh, what if this happens? What if this happens? And it's just like puts us into this fear zone. And then we get into patterns like this. And then basically I'll settle for just being friends because I don't deserve just getting on a date, or if I just ask her on a date, it's like too scary. So it's really just about that. Overcoming that fear. And so one way to do that is to not approach it or not approach her in a situation where I have to get this result or I have to ask her out and I'm approaching her for the only purpose of asking her out. And then you basically just hype yourself up into this fearful state, and then you get all nervous and tense up. It's like, well, just approach it like a normal conversation, and your outcome is not to get the result, it's to gauge her level of attraction. And if you can gauge her level of attraction by noticing things, if she's really engaged in you, she's asking you questions, if she's looking you in the eyes and smiling, if she's ever doing anything like touching you, just like initiating contact with you. It's not always the case with these things, and none of these things are hard and fast rules. It's not like, oh, if she does this, she likes you. It's like, that's not always the case. But it just gives you more clues. And if you can stack up all these clues of her interests, and then also just like judge your gut, is like, do you feel like she's attracted to you? Because if you can just judge or trust your gut, and you can read that she is attracted to you, it's like that's when you make a move. And so your outcomes should, again, be gauge her level of attraction when it's there, when you can feel that she's inviting you to ask her out. And that's when you do it. And that's when you ask her out in a confident way, or in a work situation, a more casual way, but still confident. Asking her to really like join you, or assuming that she'll say yes. And if she says no, it's like, oh, no problem. Have a good weekend. And you walk away. You don't do any more pursuit at all. And once you back off, then it's like, well, she's like, oh, well, I wonder what that was about, because it's like, now he's backing off and he's not chasing me or anything. And now I'm curious about him. Now I'm wondering about him. And now I reach out to him. Now I'm in his proximity more, so it's like, and then once she gives that space, and she starts chasing you, maybe you take one more run at her, maybe a couple, 2-3 weeks later. But that's the approach I'd take.